Okay, we're going to go through the basic suction machine setup. And before you start, you just want to make sure that everything is in place. Your suction machine is placed once again on a flat and sturdy surface because it has suction cups on the bottom of the machine, at least this model does. So you want to make sure that it's in a nice, sturdy, and safe position considering how much is going to be, or a little liquid is going to be placed into that canister. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the bottom of the canister lid collection filter is attached. You want to make sure that this hasn't been broken or is missing. It's important in regards to how if you determine this collection lid is in place, you want to place the lid on top of the canister and make sure that it's secure. Secure, make sure that there's no cracks or chips or holes in the canister, because in order for the machine to work properly, this has to be secured and sealed. You want to make sure that once you have the suction machine canister, that you want to plug all the holes with the attached plugs except the ones labeled patient and vacuum or pump. Only 2 holes should be left unplugged. So this one that would go to the patient, which is stated on here, you want to leave this one off. So this unit, this plug, you want to make sure is securely on there. This is to the vacuum or pump. Take the canister, you place it into the machine. Once the canister is securely in place, you locate the hydrophobic filter that is attached to the machine. Make sure that it's clearly indicated this side to pump. So this side is facing the unit, the opposite side is then faced and will go to the canister. This section of the tubing will be placed on the canister. And make sure that that connection is secure. Once our connections are secure, we want to plug in the unit. Before we plug in the unit, we always want to make sure that it is placed in the off position. The unit is always to be off when we go to plug in the unit. So before you plug in the unit, you always want to make sure that it is in the off position. Then you want to turn your unit on. With the unit running, you want to adjust the vacuum knob to high until it stops. So you'll see low and high. With the unit running, you want to run it to high until it stops. Once the unit is running and is placed to high, you want to block the only remaining port open with your finger to check and make sure that there's not any leaks. You should get suction. If there are any leaks, you will not get suction. You'll also be able to tell on the readout that you're getting suction. If that needle is not going up, then there's some type of leak, so you'll have to recheck your connections. Check your connection here, make sure the lid is tight, make sure that this unit is plugged up, because as you will see, if this has been unplugged, you will not get suction. If it is plugged, you will get suction. Hence the reason why it is very important to make sure that all these connections are tight and there's no holes in the canister. If the gauge does not move, or if you feel no suction, check the lid and make sure it's tight. The most common issue with the suction machine is an air leak caused by the canister lid not being tight or one of these ports being open. If you've checked all of your connections and you're still not getting suction, you want to make sure that the vacuum knob is all the way to high. If that does not resolve the problem, the unit has to be replaced. The most common attachment with the suction machine is the yank hour. Once the yank hour has been removed from the packaging, this is the end that will go to the patient, and this female end is what's going to go to the unit. So you want to take the female end and attach it to the male end of the suction machine. For demonstration purposes, we can use this water to indicate that the suction machine is working properly. As you can see, everything's working properly. we're getting good suction. So as you'll see here, if once again a connection is missed or it's not tight all the way, you'll get no suction. But as soon as that's replaced and your connections are checked, the suction machine will be able to work again. Once we determine that the machine is working properly, and if the canister becomes too full, you always want to make sure that when the unit is not in operation and when it's not being used on the patient, that it is placed off. Once the compressor has been turned off, you're going to want to explain to the family how important it is to make sure to not let this canister get too full. Once we've determined that the canister is more than half full, we want to instruct the family on how to dispose of the contents of the canister. The way in which this is done is that the yank hour is removed from the canister lid, as well as the connection to the machine. We use the remaining plugs attached to the canister lid and place them securely over the opening ports. You then carefully remove the canister. And they take this typically to the toilet, and they can pour the contents of the canister into the toilet. In order for this to be used again, you're going to want to rinse this canister out, typically with the vinegar water solution that we use for the cleaning of the oxygen concentrator. Place the canister back on. Make sure that the connections are tight all the way around. Place the canister back into the suction machine. Remove the plugs. Replace the tubing to the machine. Replace the tubing, the yank hour tubing, back on the canister. And it's good for patient use again. Typically what you'll want to do also, in order to make sure that the tip of the yank hour stays out of dirt and grime, is you can then always replace it back in the packaging and lay it on the table when you're removing or replacing the canister container. The other soft good item that is used with the suction machine canister is either a 16, a 14, or a 10-inch French catheter. The catheters are typically red, in this case the 14. This is the most typically ordered catheter type. And the way in which this is used is that the yank hour bulb tip is removed from the suction tubing and is replaced with the 14 French catheter.